For centuries, Muslims have buried their dead in a particular way, following the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The process is simple and swift.
But how much do we know about our burial process and the impact that it has on the planet? Living the Life has sent Sadia Chaudhry to dig out some of the facts.
The UK population buries about 150,000 bodies every year. While most of them are buried in wooden coffins, shrouds are making a bit of a comeback. The Eternal Gardens Cemetery in the heart of leafy Kent offers Muslims shroud burials so that they may follow the sunnah, a method unchanged since 1400 years ago. The graveyard's founders say they paid particular attention to Muslim needs, and one of those things was to find what they call virgin land to base the site on.
The area, like you see, is a natural beauty here. We've got trees that are over 300 years old, and from that you can tell that this place has been here for some time.
Here at Living the Life, we thought we'd find out what it means when we say land is virgin. How do shroud burials impact our environment? And is that indeed a better method when it comes to protecting the environment than, let's say, if we buried our loved ones in coffins? Luckily for me, Professor Lorna Dawson is here to help. Dr. Dawson is a soil scientist who assists police in finding buried bodies.
A virgin soil is a soil that has been formed naturally. It's not been contaminated by chemical, physical or biological agents, such as industrial processes where you can get manganese or compounds that are not good for the decomposition process. Also, you can get perhaps if there'd been contamination from previous burial of other animals or humans, for example.
The term virgin land implies that the soil is pure, but the earth is billions of years old. So how do we measure purity?
You've got a good structure, it's well aerated. And also you can test that it's a clay loam by rolling it between our fingers, and you can see that it sticks together, showing that it's got clay within that. It's also got some sand too. But when you look down at the subsoil, these blocks, which have come from the lower bits of the soil, this is called the subsoil, it's got a blocky structure. You can see that there's mixtures of colours, the orange and the grey. That tells us that there's been wetting and drying. We can also tell whether it's high pH or a low pH. A low pH means that it's acid, and that's not so good for decomposition. But if you've got high pH, that's alkaline. Now let's just test it with some vinegar. Just a simple chemical here that you'd find in any household cupboard. So we take a little into the cap, and I'm going to pour it on some of the soil here. Now, let's see if anything happens. Yes, indeed, it fizzes. There's oxygen comes out, and that shows us that this is an alkaline soil. It's got a high pH, which is actually ideal for the burial process.
So when it comes to burial processes, which system is better for the environment?
To be natural, it's best to use natural products, such as cottons, for example, and to let the body decompose in that natural environment, returning the body products back to the soil from where it came.
Islam has shown us how to prepare and bury the dead, but we were never told why we do it this way. There'll be a day, though, when our bodies become a part of the land we now walk over. So perhaps we can use that process to better protect the ecosystems and the life we leave behind.
Wow.
I've often wondered about that. I've often wondered if you actually make a positive impact by being buried as opposed to being cremated. Does cremation have an environmental impact that's worse or better? And it seems quite clear there.
Yeah, no, it most certainly does. It's also something that people often try not to think about, I suppose, but you've got to be prepared for when the day comes.
You do indeed.